केशोरी मेरी कुसुम कली, मेरो काना गुलाब को फूल, केशोरी मेरी कुसुम कली, मेरो काना गुलाब को फूल, केशोरी मेरी कुसुम कली, मेरो काना गुलाब को फूल, केशोरी मेरी कुसुम कली। काना मेरो नंद चौके अंगना, काना मेरो नंद चौके छोना, काना मेरो नंद चौके छोना, राधे मेरी वृषभानुलरी, केशोरी मेरी कुसुम कली, मेरो काना गुलाब को फूल, केशोरी मेरी कुसुम कली, मेरो काना गुलाब को फूल, केशोरी मेरी कुसुम कली। मेरो काना गुलाब को फूल, तमसोमा ज्योतिर्गमया मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमया. Everyone together. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Welcome to Satsang. We'll start, as we always do, with one of our questions that comes in advance, and then open it up here to anyone who's here and any questions that any of you may have. Do self-realization and freedom go together? How so? So last night we spoke about freedom as the highest goal, highest aspect, ultimate goal of a spiritual path. That ultimate moksha. In the Indian Hindu tradition, if you say to most people, what's the ultimate goal? Moksha. Now, most people think that moksha is something we get only after we die. But actually, that which keeps us stuck is not the body. It's the mind. And so real moksha, real freedom, isn't about getting free of the body, because if your mind is stuck, you'll just take a new body. That's what the cycle of rebirth and reincarnation is about. All of that which you don't work out this time around, you'll just take a new body and work it out in your new body. So dropping the body, being free of the body, is not, it's neither a prerequisite nor any kind of a promise for actual ultimate freedom. Pujya Swamiji always says so sweetly and beautifully, he says, if you're not huggy here, don't expect that somehow hugs are waiting for you in heaven. That which we are creating here is that which we will have after we drop the body, in terms of the core truth of our awareness, of our awakening, of our consciousness, of the mind. And so freedom, ultimate freedom, is a freedom in the body, but a freedom of the clutches of the mind. Yeah. Sounds good. So the question is the relationship between self-realization and freedom. Are they related? Of course they're related. Self-realization is the prerequisite for freedom, real freedom. Because freedom is not a rebellion against something. freedom is not, as I was saying last night, just a license for decadence. When I was growing up, I'm from America, and I spent several summers when I was a young teenager at summer camp in Switzerland, an international camp. And I mention it because the camp was international and there were people from all over the world there. And in America, the drinking age is 21. In Europe, it's much younger. I don't even know if there is a drinking age. And so, 16, okay. So most of the people at the camp, the Americans, because everybody was under 21. I mean, I went when I was 14, 15, and 16. So the Americans were all coming from this world where they were wanting to drink alcohol but not allowed, and having to kind of hide it or lie about it or fake it or sneak it or whatever people do. The Europeans were pretty much raised with a bottle of wine on the dinner table, and it was no big deal. And so the first free afternoon that the camp gave us, what did all the Americans do? Went out and got drunk, of course, right? Freedom. Now, that's not what freedom is. That's rebellion. That's reaction. There is this thing I'm not permitted to do. Therefore, I feel like it is suffocating me, that inability to do it. Therefore, when I'm no longer being suffocated by laws and rules and whatnot, freedom, I'll do it. Not freedom. Not freedom. Because that which suffocates us, that which keeps us stuck, is not actually any of the laws or the rules. It's the mind. It's the mind saying, I want this, I need this, I want this, I need this, I want this, I need this, I want this. That's what keeps us stuck. And it ends up staying with us in life long after we've reached legal voting age, driving age, drinking age, marrying age, own your own company age, whatever ages we were waiting for to have freedom. Long after we've passed all of those ages, we're still stuck. And we're stuck because of the workings of the mind. And so self-realization, that awareness of, I am free. The only thing keeping me from being free is my lack of awareness of my own freedom. I could say to you, you are that body. You are your bank account. You are so rich, or you're poor, or you're beautiful, you're successful. I can throw all of this at you. But if you don't believe it, if it's not your identity, it's not going to impact you. Like if I say to you, that is a horrible long purple hair you have. Or a horrible purple mohawk you have. Now you know, I don't have purple hair, neither long nor a mohawk. It's not going to impact you. You're not going to need to go find a mirror and worry about your purple hair. Because you know, I don't have purple hair. And so you know that this woman who's telling me that I have a really bad purple mohawk, either she's blind, like she really thinks it's purple, but I know it's not. Or she's not really in all her senses. Maybe her eyes work, but the mind doesn't work so well. Because we know I don't have a purple mohawk. The world is always going to be the world. The world is always going to tell us, at least as long as we have marketing and advertising and propaganda and all of this, the world is always going to tell us, you're not enough of this, you're too much of that, you're not beautiful enough, rich enough, thin enough, this enough, that enough. Why? Well, because I need to sell you something. And in order for you to buy whatever it is I'm trying to sell, whether it's a product, whether it's a way of life, whether it's a belief system, I have to first convince you that there is something lacking in you. You can't sell an appetizer to someone who's just had a really big, full, satisfying meal. They're done. You could come around, you could give them the list of appetizers all over again, but they're going to say, so sorry, I just ate. Maybe tomorrow. They're full. But you take someone whose stomach is empty and you start reading them the list of appetizers, and it's, oh yeah, I'll have that, I'll have that, I'll have that, I need this, because their stomach is empty. In the same way, when my awareness of myself is empty, when I have no idea who I am, I will buy and believe everything you say, including that I have a purple mohawk. If I have no idea what I look like, and you tell me I have a purple mohawk, okay, so be it. If I'm blind, I have no idea who's cutting my hair, dyeing my hair, playing tricks on me in the night while I'm asleep, maybe it is. But if I can see, I know what my hair looks like. So you can yell about a purple mohawk all you want, and it's not going to impact me. In the same way, if I'm living in an experience of emptiness, in an experience of internal blindness, I cannot see myself, and you say to me, you are stupid, you are ugly, you are too old, or you're too young, or you're too poor, or you're too fat, or you're too dark, or you're too stupid, or you're too this or too that, I'm going to believe you. And that becomes my sense of identity. And you get enough of that, especially if you start young, and our whole identity gets built by what we get from the outer world. And so we are stuck, because in the identity, our mind is created. The mind is created by our experiences, our impressions, what we call sanskaras, that which we take in. You can think of it like a hard drive on a computer. Whatever you program it with, whatever software you install, well, that's what your computer can give you back. In the same way, we get programmed in ignorance. It's not that everybody's malicious. It's not that people are trying to mess us up. It's just that this is a general consensus, sort of an agreement to live in collective ignorance. I'm going to appreciate you and value you and compliment you on your physical body, making you feel good about yourself or bad about yourself based on your body, and you're going to do the same for me. I'm going to compliment you and tell you about yourself based on your job and how much money you're making and how much power you're getting and who you're crushing under your feet along the way to get up that ladder. And you'll do the same for me. And we have this complicity going that allows us, encourages us to just go deeper and deeper into the darkness. But because it is such a collective complicity, we live in it, which is why we're stuck. We're stuck in minds that never can have enough. We're stuck in minds that never think we are enough, that are constantly judging, constantly separating us from our truth, constantly second-guessing ourselves, this constant commentary in our minds that doesn't even allow us to be free for a moment. Even in moments of joy, we're worried about when the next shoe's going to drop. Can't last very long because I know something bad's going to happen. Even in the most beautiful moments of life, the mind is always wondering how long it's going to last. How long is it going to last till it gets taken away? This is why self-realization is the prerequisite for ultimate freedom. Because when I actually know who I am, then I'm not going to buy, believe, identify as anything that any other person, any cultural norm, any billboard I pass on the freeway, any vestige of a voice of my 5th grade teacher that still every once in a while tells me I'm worthless and stupid and will never be anything in my mind. When I know who I am, then all those voices yelling, ugly purple mohawk, ugly purple mohawk, ugly purple mohawk, in my brain don't have any impact over me because I know who I am. And that is what actually gives us freedom. Because otherwise, every decision I make is rooted in how can I become enough? How can I either run from the pain of these holes I experience in myself? How can I numb myself? How can I temporarily fill them with relationships, with money, with enjoyment, with whatever it may be? Drugs and alcohol are always a common choice. Whatever it is I'm going to use it to fill those holes. And I'm going to move through my world in reaction to, running from, pushing against all of those voices, all of that pull, all of that unconscious programming. But only when I reboot. And one of those like full, do you want to format this drive? It will erase everything on the drive. Do you really want to reformat it? Right? And what's interesting is we only get those on our computer when there's something wrong with the drive, right? You plug it in and the sign, sorry, can't read the drive, needs to be reformatted. A drive that's running well doesn't give you that message. You only get that when there's a virus in it, right? Something's gone awry. And then you get the message that says, do you want to reformat the drive? And if you click yes, even before it does, you then get another message that says basically, are you sure? This will erase everything on the drive. Are you sure? And only when we hit yes, and we really have that courage, that faith, to let go of all of that which isn't working, that virus-filled programming. Only when we're really ready to reboot are we able to be free. So for self-realization, we have to be prepared to let go of the false identity with that which is not self. We have to allow that to be erased, reformatted. And it's scary in theory because you don't know what's going to come. But this is where, fortunately for us, we have thousands and thousands and thousands of years of enlightened saints and rishis and yogis who basically call to us from the other side, not necessarily the other side of life and death, many of them are still living, but the other side of darkness and light. And who say, yeah, it's okay. Go ahead, hit the reformat button, yes. Yes, reboot. Yes, let go of the false identity so that you can have the real awakening, the real realization. It's a funny irony. We call it realization, but for most of us, our realization is rooted in unreality. It only becomes a realization, as in of that which is real, when it's that spiritual awakening realization of who we really are. Otherwise, it's more like a self-falsization. Right? I mean, you can't call it a realization if it's of the false self. So we let go. And that's where the freedom is. And into that freedom flows grace, flows realization, real truth. And that's when we're really free, in the body. And that's what we're here for. So before taking any of the other questions that came in advance, I'm happy. When we're living in reality, not falsely identified. Well, this is where it gets really beautiful. See, if my love is contingent upon me having holes or me having the misperception that there are holes, a misperception that most of us move through the world with, feeling not enough in some way, feeling less than in some way, feeling not good enough in some way, incomplete in some way. If I have those holes and I get into relationship with someone whose metaphoric pegs fill my metaphoric holes, it feels really good. Because suddenly I'm no longer aware of the holes. Right? If one of my holes is, let's say from my family of origin or my childhood, I'm moving through the world with an experience of being stupid and worthless, not good enough. That's a hole I feel, let's say. And then you come in and you and I get into relationship and you say to me, you are everything. You are the best. You are my moon and my stars and my sun. Well, that hole, miraculously, no longer feels like a hole. It feels very full. You have just filled my hole. And that feels very good. The dilemma is that in order for us to stay working very well together, your peg has to stay that shape. Means you have to always be prepared, no matter what I do, to tell me that I am your sun and moon and stars, that I am the best, because anything you say or do that might imply otherwise is like now you're, pulling a scar off. Not only is my hole no longer filled, but that scar is being pulled off. So not only are you not able to have freedom, but I can't heal my hole. Let's see that in that relationship, we also get into a spiritual path. I start meditating. I embark on a spiritual path, and I no longer have a hole. Well, as my hole fills up automatically from the inside, I no longer need that from you. And if that was all that pulled us together, was I had a hole, you had a peg, felt fit, we were good, well, suddenly now I don't have a hole, or I don't have that hole. Maybe I have a different hole now, or a different hole that I wasn't aware of before, a deeper one, a more subtle one. And maybe you don't feel that. Maybe the other hole that I had was maybe I grew up not having enough money or opportunity and very, very, very jealous of maybe my second cousins, let's say, or some other family relations I saw on the holidays who seemed to have everything and I had nothing. And so I always also had this hole of feeling like I just didn't have enough. And maybe you are a impoverished musician or an impoverished yoga teacher, and you don't quite make enough to give me something to fill the hole that says I've got to have what the other guy has. Well, now we no longer fit again. We only fit when I'm living in the awareness of the moment of the hole that your peg fits. And that's a very tenuous relationship because it locks both of us into the drama that we were in the midst of when we met and fell in love. Neither of us can grow, neither of us can change. Otherwise, we fall out of love. And this is what happens. And so the way to do relationship in the reality of the self is to come at it from a place of fullness. Doesn't mean that you've worked through your ego fully, doesn't mean that you don't have any issues or ignorances, or we all have that. It's part of the game of being human. But that you're not in that relationship because someone fills your holes. That you don't actually need something from the other one in order to feel okay. And this is a really good litmus test. Does my inner peace, my inner joy, depend upon the other one's moods? Does my inner peace, my inner joy depend upon them doing something or not doing something, saying something, not saying something? Doesn't mean that we shouldn't be impacted. We're connected, so of course we're impacted. I mean, somebody spontaneously shows up at home with, beautiful flowers or chocolate or whatever it is that you love and they know you love. We're all going to be touched. It's beautiful. It's what spontaneous acts of giving are for. But if you don't show up with it, I'm not going to be miserable. I'm not going to feel less than. My sense of self is not going to plummet into worthlessness. because I didn't need you to give me those things in order to feel worthy. It was a beautiful surprise, touched my heart. Thank you. But my worthiness was not dependent upon that. My sense of value on planet Earth, not dependent on that. My sense of deserving to occupy my place here, not dependent on that. And so in relationship, keep checking yourself. Are we subtly manipulating each other to act the way that I need you to act so I don't have to look at my stuff? Am I subtly manipulating you to act how I want so I don't have to actually deal with my ego or my pain or my false identity or the stuff I'm carrying in from childhood? And only you know the answer to that. But it's a good weekly, if not daily, litmus test. If you can develop that awareness in every conversation, just the same way that in meditation we keep drawing the awareness back to the breath. In relationship, just keep drawing your attention back to your intention. What's my intention here? Is my intention to get the other person to be a certain way, treat me a certain way, or is my intention to show up with the fullness of who I am? And to sit in a beautiful place, space called love with the fullness of who the other one is. Because when you can do that, when you can come together, not needing to mold each other into a certain shape so that you also fit, but you being able to show up in your fullness, the other person being able to show up in their fullness, and being able to sit together in a fullness that is even greater than each of your fullnesses, right? Like we say, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So you each come in as fullness of the self and sit together in that space of love in which the whole becomes greater than just the sum of the parts. And that's the yoga of relationship. And hold that space for each other, because again, remember, we're human, we're going to slip. But one of the greatest gifts of the path of relationship compared to, for example, the path of renunciation is you've actually got someone with you. Maybe not 24/7, but most of the time, certainly end of the day, beginning of the day, in those raw, literally naked moments, to hold space and say, is this your truest self right here? So use that and show up and have a time together, nightly, weekly, whatever it may be, in which you re-look at who the other one is. There's a beautiful exercise. It's not really a meditation, but it's a beautiful exercise to take into your relationship. It's a 3-line exercise. And you can do this, by the way, it's not just in a loving, romantic relationship, but with friends, with family members. It's very powerful with parents and children of any age. And it's 3 lines. And it says, you look in each other's eyes, and one of you says, I see you. I see who you are right now. And I love what I see. And then the other one says it back. 3 lines. I see you. I see who you are right now. And I love what I see. 30 seconds. Do it every night. Do it 5 times a day. Because what it does is it takes us out, and parents, do it with your kids. It takes us out of that sense of being locked into who we have to be in this relationship. And it imprints us with a new sanskara that says, whoever I am loved. And if your child or your spouse or your friend or whoever it may be is angry in that moment, do it then. It's not go to your room until you feel better, then I will love you. In this moment. You may not love yourself. You may not see yourself as who you are right now. I do. I see you in your anger. I mean, you don't have to say it, just I see you. It means wherever you are, in your space right now, I see who you are right now. And it also brings them into the space of realizing, well, I'm not my anger. I may be throwing a temper tantrum, but who I am isn't anger. So it holds the space for the other person to maybe slip out of the drama they were playing in that moment. To maybe decide they've had enough of the costume of anger in that moment, or the costume of jealousy in that moment. And if not, that's okay. At least they know they're loved anyway. And it certainly takes you out of the costume of the one reacting to their anger, their jealousy, their judgment, whatever it may be. So if you can just take those 3 lines into your relationship. See each other and see yourself. Have a beautiful rest of your evening, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Have a wonderful night. Satnam.